right, let's dive in. Today we're heading to France, to the Dordogne Valley.
Yeah, the Dordogne.
And you know what's crazy?
What's that?
This place, it's like straight out of a fairy tale.
Ooh, how so?
We're talking castles,
Okay.
but not just like a few castles.
Wow.
Over 1,000 of them.
Wow, 1,000 castles? That's a lot. You're not kidding about the fairy tale comparison.
It's hard to even picture that many, right?
It is, yeah. It really makes you think about the history of this region. I mean, that many castles and fortresses, it had to be incredibly important strategically for a long time.
And that's what we're going to explore today using some travel tips from Love to Visit France.
They've got some great stuff.
They do. So 1,000 castles, you can imagine they weren't just built for looks.
No, definitely not. I mean, think about it. They were built for defense, controlling trade routes, projecting power. Every single one of them has a story to tell, a story that's part of the bigger story of the Dordogne.
It's amazing. But it's not just the castles, is it?
No, it's so much more than that.
This newsletter talks about cave art,
World-class cave art,
ancient villages,
bustling markets.
and get this, even canoe trips under clifftop gardens.
Now that's something
It's
special.
like, where else can you find that?
Exactly. It's that mix of history, culture, and nature that makes the Dordogne so unique. Just imagine it paddling down a peaceful river, surrounded by huge cliffs and greenery. And then above you, you've got these gardens that have been there for centuries, built right on the cliffs.
It sounds unbelievable.
It is truly unforgettable.
Love to Visit France suggests a 3-day road trip to experience it all.
That's a good starting point.
They say the caves and villages are must-sees, for sure.
Absolutely.
But they also point out one specific castle, Chateau de Castelnau.
Okay, so why this one out of all the others?
This one out of 1,000. What do you think?
Well, Chateau de Castelnau has a pretty amazing location. It's perched right on a cliff overlooking the Dordogne River. And it was right in the thick of things during the 100 Years' War. Switched back and forth between the French and English quite a few times.
Wow.
Today it's a museum all about medieval warfare. They've got recreated siege weapons, and the views of the valley from up there are supposed to be incredible. You can practically feel the history when you walk through those halls.
You're painting quite a picture.
It's something else. But it's not just the history, it's the atmosphere of these villages, the way of life. Imagine just wandering through these old cobblestone streets, admiring the architecture, some of it centuries old, and then you stop at a cafe or a little restaurant and try the local food.
Okay, stop. I'm already booking my flight.
Yeah.
But seriously, with all these amazing villages, where do you even begin?
Well, the Love to Visit France newsletter actually gives a great starting point. Yeah, they've got this 3-day road trip mapped out, hits a lot of the Dordogne best spots. Honestly, though, you could spend weeks exploring and still not see everything. There's just so much there.
So we've got castles, caves, villages,
Yeah.
and then there's the canoeing. I can't get over those pictures of paddling down the river with those gardens up on the cliffs. It's unreal.
Yeah, it's pretty magical. And the river itself, the Dordogne, that's a piece of history, too. It was a major trade route way back in medieval times. So as you canoe down it, you're following in the footsteps of history.
That's a cool way to think about it. Like, imagine the knights and merchants traveling down that same river all those years ago.
Yeah.
Makes it even more special.
Exactly. And the scenery along the way is breathtaking. Forests, cliffs, those gardens we keep talking about. The gardens themselves are really amazing, It took some serious ingenuity to create those all those years ago.
Yeah, how did they even get them up there?
Well, a lot of them were created by monks, actually. Yeah, monks. They were known for their farming skills and for their ability to make even the toughest land productive. They built irrigation systems, terraced the land, all sorts of stuff. And it wasn't just for beauty. The gardens provided food and medicinal herbs for the people living down below.
So you're canoeing down the river, and you're not just seeing pretty scenery, you're seeing centuries of history, culture, all this human ingenuity. It's like a living museum.
You got it. And speaking of museums, let's get back to Chateau de Castelnau. That's not just a castle, it's a museum dedicated to medieval warfare.
Oh, right, you mentioned that earlier. What kind of things can you see there?
Well, they've got this amazing collection of siege weapons, catapults, trebuchets, battering rams, all sorts of things. They're recreated from historical design, so you get a real sense of how they worked and how they were used in battles.
Okay, anything medieval, and I'm there.
Wow.
But out of all the castles in Dordogne, why should we visit this one? What makes it so special?
Well, on top of the location and the museum, it gives a unique perspective on the 100 Years' War. Because it changed hands so many times, it saw some of the most intense fighting of the whole conflict.
So when you're standing there in those walls, you can almost feel the weight of history, the clash of cultures, the fight for power. It's not just about looking at stuff, it's about connecting with the past on a deeper level.
Yeah, exactly. And the Dordogne is full of those moments. Caves, villages, castles. You can really immerse yourself in history there.
It's mind-blowing that one region can have all of this. Castles, caves, villages, rivers, gardens, the Dordogne has it all. What's been the most impressive thing to you so far?
That's tough. I think it's the sheer amount of history all packed into one area. You've got traces of humans going back to prehistoric times. Then you've got Roman ruins, medieval castles, Renaissance architecture. It's like every layer you peel back, there's another story waiting to be discovered.
And it's not just the big picture of history, it's the individual stories too. The people who lived and died in this region.
Exactly. Every castle, every village, every painting on a cave wall, it all tells a story. And it's our job to listen to those stories, imagine them, connect with the people who came before us.
So for you, our listener, what stands out the most? Are you more interested in the caves, the castles, the villages?
When you imagine yourself traveling to the Dordogne, what are you looking for? Do you want to dive deep into the history, get lost in nature, experience the local culture?
It really is like you can choose your own adventure in the Dordogne.
You got it.
History buff, nature lover, foodie. You can find your own path.
Exactly. That's what makes it such a great place to visit. Want to see all 1,000+ castles? Go for it. Or maybe you want to hit all the best local markets. It's your trip.
Maybe you're feeling adventurous and you want to canoe down that river.
Picture yourself paddling along just like those medieval travelers did.
Or maybe art and culture is more your thing. Exploring the caves, getting lost in those medieval villages.
So many possibilities.
It's amazing how the Dordogne blends it all together. The history, the nature, the culture. It's all there.
It really shows you that travel isn't just about seeing new places. It's about connecting with the past, understanding different cultures, broadening your horizons a little.
Well said. And on that note, we'll leave you to dream about your own Dordogne adventure. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.